So, how is everybody today? I just wanted to thank everybody that's here. Super grateful that you took the time out of your Sunday to spend some time with me. We're going to spend about 60 minutes going over some real high level topics, get into some weeds on some things that you might be able to do for your business. But as I was thinking about today, I had a good time this weekend where I got to spend some time with some peers and really reflect on where I was in my life, but also I thought a lot about my clients and where they are and some of the things that they struggle with. And I was trying to think of something that I could pull out of this weekend that I could share with you before we get into this presentation and get started. And the one thing that came to me was we always feel like we're supposed to be somewhere else. We're supposed to have accomplished more, or we're not doing what we're supposed to do, and we're always reaching for something greater. And the thing that I pulled out of this weekend after everything we did, and it was really cool, I was able to participate for the first time in a sound bath. If you haven't ever done that, I would definitely check that out. I also was able to go through with this amazing instructor, Nate, some breathing techniques, and it really challenged your mind and challenged your body and in a way that is different because it was just breathing. And you were laying there, but we were in this amazing place in Park City out in the wilderness, and there was a stream coming by, and it was just this beautiful setting. I mean, I got to see two baby moose this weekend. I haven't seen a moose ever in my life. So it was a really amazing experience. But the one thing that I pulled from that is we talked about I am, and what that means is can mean different things to different people. But what it meant to me is I'm okay where I'm at. And in your business, as we get into this, or even if you're just listening because you're in your life, just know that you're right where you're supposed to be. And you're here today and you're listening to this, or you're listening to a replay of this, and just know wherever you are right now, you're right where you're supposed to be. And I want to share that with you. It moved me. It allowed me to open myself up to be okay with where I am. It broadened my horizon, broadened my mind to what's next. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to share this presentation with you. I will put a link in for the presentation at the end so that you can go ahead and have that. But let me go ahead and see here if I can share my presentation with you. All right, here we go. So next stage wealth. What does that mean? It could mean a lot of different things, but I just want to take a moment and talk to you about why it's next stage wealth. Next stage wealth is about thinking beyond the business. We're going to get in and I'm going to dive through some true and false questions in a minute just to stimulate your mind and get your mind in the right path of where we're going. But it's thinking of beyond the exit. It's thinking about why am I building this business and what is after that? And then the wealth that I'm able to accumulate, what do I want to do with that wealth? And there's a lot of different options. We really focus on creating family offices and helping transition generational wealth. That's really what we're focused on how to transition the business, get the most value out of your business, exit on your own terms. Think about mentoring in the areas that you're passionate about. I'm sure in your business, you've gone through different things and you're super passionate about certain areas and you're very knowledgeable. And it's one of those things where you get lost as you study those things, and that becomes something that becomes part of you. And what a great way to give back to humanity is to share that knowledge in a way of mentoring or coaching after you sell your business. And then the other thing is invest and really what you want to invest in, how you invest to protect yourself, how do you invest to protect the legacy of the wealth that you've built over these years of building your business. So that's really what next age wealth from profit to purpose is all about. So I'm going to kind of just read these slides, read through them, bear with me. It's really to get your mind in line with where we're going in the journey, and kind of take it off the operations of your business and start to think differently about yourself, your business, and where you're going next. So let's dive in here. All right, true or false? If my business is profitable, it'll be easy to sell. False. 80% of businesses never sell, not because they're not making money, but because they aren't built to transfer value. True or false? I can wait until I'm ready to sell before preparing for an exit. You probably all know the answer to this. False. If you wait until you're ready, it'll be too late. True or false? If I stop working in my business, everything should run smoothly. And we probably all know that that's not true because we wear a lot of hats. So maybe or no. It's a huge red flag if you haven't built a business and you've just built a job. True or false? Owning is always riskier than leasing commercial space. Not even close. Leasing without strategy kills the value of your business. And there's a few things that you can do and not a lot of time to create value in your lease. True or false? If I'm successful, I don't need a new strategy. Success without strategy is stagnation. The next level for your business requires a new mindset, a little about what we're talking about today, new tools and a new role. True or false? Once I sell my business, I automatically feel fulfilled and financially free. And it's false for most. Selling your business doesn't guarantee peace, purpose, or even profit. A lot of my business owners, they sell their business and it's over. They start doing their bucket list and they go, now what? They have no problems to solve. They have nobody to motivate and mentor. And so it really becomes they become lost because their business had been their identity for so long. And so let's be honest, okay? You didn't build this business to feel trapped by it. I know you spent long hours, you've carried the team, you really have no roadmap for what's next, and you can't step away without anything falling apart. So, what are the excuses that keep you stuck? And I've personally said this. I'll fix it when I have some more time. You know what? I'm not selling's not even on my radar. I'm just focused on operations. And the other thing, no one can run this or do this like me. These are really all excuses to delay, and delay equals decline. And no exit plan. Well, that just means that there is no exit. And you are not your business. So you really got to start thinking about, how does my business almost become its own living, breathing entity? And I can kind of remove myself there, but leave behind my legacy. And so the real enemies that you're up against, it's not the market crash. It's not taxes. They're not competition. It's basically that you're comfortable. You feel in control. Sometimes you feel confused, and you have this fear of like letting go of everything you've built, and it's your baby, and you really don't want to hand it off to anybody else. So you've done too much to plateau now. I mean, think about it. You've done and put so much effort into this business. You spent late nights, you've guaranteed you've missed time with family. You've been all in committed, giving up all kinds of things that other people are doing. And you've really spent a lifetime building this business. You sacrificed way too much to just leave it right here. So accountability, that's what's missing. And I think all of us kind of know that because, we don't have a board. Maybe some of us do, and some of us have advisors, and we've taken those steps. Are they the right board and they right advisors? And is your plan? This isn't a plan for the business. This is a plan for what's beyond the business. And it's just you have nobody else's outside perspective. No one is challenging your blind spots, and you really have no roadmap on how to transition. So, what if you're sitting on value in your business that you can't even see? You've built it, you've grown it, but if you're completely overlooked the most valuable parts of your business. So, for example, I'm going to talk a little bit about a company that I was evaluating buying. And the reason I want to share this story is I think what happens is we start to get burnt out in our business, and we get towards the end in the last few years, and we're like, okay, it's time to go. And so we get burnt out. So we start taking shortcuts. So I want to give you this example. So there was this amazing pizza place, wood fire pizza place, had built an amazing brand, gets tons of leads, really good revenue. And they had a few little things that really affected the value. And if they would have had these things in place, I think I would have been willing, and other buyers probably would have been willing to pay more for the business. And so what happened is they negotiated a month-to-month lease, so there was really no security in the lease and security in the space. And they had put a bunch of money in the TIs, and so that was one thing. But that's something easy to overcome. I think the landlord was willing to sign a longer lease. We could have moved the property to some maybe a building that we were going to purchase. But the bigger thing that happened is they stopped taking business on and they stopped taking the leads because they just didn't want to work. They were getting burnt out. And so when that happens is, and you go in and you look at their financials, their accounts receivables for all the events that were coming up had year over year diminished so much. And so you had no certainty when you took on that business. And their argument, which is a great argument, but look at all the leads we get every day. That's great, but unless they're converted and actually booked and they're actually on the books, you really can't recognize that value. And banks and investors don't give any type of credit to potential leads. They'll give a little bit, but not much. So that's just an example of some value that they were sitting on that they really couldn't take advantage of because they were burnt out. And that happens to all of us. So here's what we're going to discover today. These are just tips, spots that are probably costing, you millions. And these are just some facts and statistics that I want to just share with you. Why 80% of businesses that are profitable, business owners accidentally destroy the exit. And this is a real thing, the final 3 years. And we want to make sure that you avoid that. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about the 5 invisible signals buyers, lenders, and investors look for and why your business probably isn't sending them. And we want to make sure that you can tweak them. So when somebody takes a look at your business, your signals are like, man, they know what they're doing. They've got this down. And the number one reason legacy dies with the founder and how to build with purpose. So the business outlives you. You spent all this time. You don't want somebody to come in and destroy your brand or destroy the people that are there. And so we're going to talk about different ways that you can kind of secure that and exit on your own terms. And then there's a deed simple real estate move that can really improve the value of your lease and where you're at. And also, it might not be without buying a building. It could be doing a lease purchase where you have the option to buy it and some things like that. And the other one that we're going to talk about a little bit is the quiet killer of retirement freedom. Exit with cash, but not with direction, and how to fix that in like 20 minutes a week. It's really a mindset, and we're going to dive into that a little bit. So what this unlocks for you, this isn't just about selling. This is about finally becoming, who your business was built to serve. And that is you. I mean, your business should be serving you in so many ways. It should be serving you in the way of financials. It should be serving you the way in happiness. You should get great joy out of coaching and teaching and mentoring and bringing people in, evaluating what you're doing. And I know because I've been there. I've been in businesses that I've created that I did not enjoy, and I had the wrong people around me, and I didn't have the right systems in place, and I was working long hours. And so, I want you, wake up knowing that your business has value, even if you don't touch it. Say yes to more family time, travel time, investing, mentorship, and not to do the burnout. Replace stress with strategy and motion with momentum. And think of that for a second. Your motion is momentum of other people are doing your vision. Okay. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then exit when you want with confidence that you've built it right and you're ready to exit and you're ready for the next thing, so that you can build legacy that funds your next move instead of ending on this last deal, which is you sell your business and now what am I going to do? So if this was simpler than you think, it's way simpler than you think. You're about 3 moves away from turning your business into a legacy asset. And we'll show you how to do that today. It's 3 key points. I'm going to leave you with those today. You're going to get this deck when we're done. And I want to make sure that we get that out to you. I'm also got a little surprise for you at the end that I'll share with you that I'm going to provide to everybody that was here today and anybody that takes advantage of any of our stuff. So this isn't like a 12-month grind. So you're not going to be doing this for 12 months. I mean, in 30 days, you're going to start to make impact just on what I'm going to share with you today. If you take these things, make them your own, you don't need me, you don't need to pay me anything. I just want to give you some advice and give you some things that have worked in other businesses. And you do not need to overhaul your business. This isn't something where we come in and say, you need to change everything. You just got to tweak it a little bit. You just got to optimize what's already working. And the other thing is we do have some plug and play tools, some frameworks, some exercise. I'll share it with you. I'm going to give you some framework today that's going to help you just with some little things in your business that are going to give you some guidance and some encouragement that you have a plan going forward. And can you imagine the clarity, the cash flow, the confidence without burnout or selling your soul to something which is like, I don't know what I'm doing. You're trying all kinds of different things. This is a proven method that we're going to share with you today. And most importantly, this isn't about a hustle. It's really about finally owning your outcome. These are proven things that businesses that have value have in place. And so we're going to move that. So I want to ask yourself, why are you really here today? What brings you here today? If anybody's in the chat, if you guys want to put some stuff in the chat, that would be great. But why are you here today? And what is the purpose of, let me just see, we have anybody in the chat that has reached out today, just to make sure. And yeah, they're here. They're here because, you're burnt out. You don't know what's next. So I see a lot of that in there. So just know that I think a lot of us are on the same page. So I want to tell you and let you know. Let's see if I can get back over here because I scrolled over to my other screen. So this is me in the middle. This is my brothers and I in one of our first ventures as a family that we created, which was an Italian restaurant. And my uncles and aunts, everybody kind of had them going, and my mom and dad said, we're going to get into it. And so, my dad and mom started the business. My dad was working construction. My mom took this picture. She's out there trying to build the restaurant and get it going. And so it was a family business, and we worked it for years. And so the reason I did what I'm doing and the reason I'm here today is back when I was going through this, I was watching my mom and dad in the business. And if you can imagine, you're around the dinner table and dad's tired, mom's tired, they're working two jobs, you're trying to get this restaurant off the ground and they needed a little money. I think they were trying to buy a second oven or something. And they needed not a lot of money, 5 or 10 grand, but they had no idea where to go. They didn't know if they went to the bank, how do I do it? And where do I get the money? They ended up finally learning a little bit and getting a small SBA loan. But at that time, they had to go to family and get some money. And when you go to family and get money, there's always strings attached. If you've ever done it before, or a friend, you feel bad if something happens or it doesn't work out, and it can really damage the relationship. So, the banks don't care. They don't have a lot of emotion around lending money. They're looking for a return, and so it's always better to go to a bank. And so, what I kind of vowed at a young age, I think I was maybe like 12 years old or so, is like I wanted to learn banking. And so, when I had a chance, and as you get to know me more in my history, but I would go in every single day and I would study what they call underwriting guidelines in one of the largest institutions in the country. And I would dive in and I would figure out after 100 years, why would they lend money to somebody? What were the reasons? And it's not all about the numbers. There's a lot of components that go with that we'll dive into. And my framework goes through and some of the stuff we do. But I made it a mission in my life to learn what makes a business sexy to banks and investors. And when I say that, it means when they look at it, they go, I want that business. I want that client. And so I'm going to share some of those things with you today. So why is this opportunity so unique for you right now? And I don't know if you know kind of where we are in history, but baby boomers are going to exit and they're going to start flooding the market. So everything you do is about positioning yourself against a lot of businesses that are going to be out there for people to look at. And I can tell you, we're already starting to get interest from the younger generations and those that have been working in the corporate world that they are going to want to buy businesses that already exist because the the amount of time it takes, and you know this because you've done this, to create your brand, create your website, create your client base, come up with your product set. I really see that the movement is to buy existing businesses. And so capital is harder to get right now. And so you want your business to be capital ready for the person that's coming in to buy it. And you know, there's a massive opportunity of distressed assets in the market for real estate. So there's an opportunity to take businesses and put them into real estate, even before the exit or even after the exit. Then, so there's a potential upward growth for those businesses. And most competitors that you're going to be selling against, if you're in a certain industry, they're not going to be prepared, which gives you leverage and gives you an opportunity because you know you're here right now. You can dive into these things. You can start to implement these in your business, and so that when you get down the road, you're going to look better than your competitors. So, and buyers are still buying, but they're a lot pickier. Like I said, they're looking for businesses that they can go to their bank or go to their investors and they can actually fund through traditional financing. Because traditional financing typically is what they call less expensive money. You're in the 7% range today. And if you go outside of that, you're anywhere from, 12% to 20% if you want to bring in investors. Um, so how this is different than everything else you've tried. The difference between what we do and everything else that's out there. Most of the programs out there talk about scaling and growing revenue, but our whole purpose here is to build value that is transferable to the next buyer. It's not just about revenue. So why me and why this? This is this is what it was built for, and what business owners like yourself I've helped. So I've had over 25 years in finance, exits, M&A, and capital strategies. I've helped business owners structure, sales, scale across tons of industries. I mean, from restaurants to manufacturing to real estate to development to service business to retail business. So what I did is I created a framework, and we'll get more into the framework a little bit, but what I want to tell you is I really value the time of the business owner. And I know when I played sports, but when a coach coached me directly, even if it was hard and they were right to the point, it was better because then I could spend time practicing what they taught me and I didn't have to sit for hours listening to them tell me what to do. So I made it a very specific point in everything I do. I get right to the point. It's really short clips. And so you're going to see that in the framework and I'll help transfer you. And this isn't generic advice. This is about you. This is about building what's ready, what's for you in your business, specific to you. So the belief that changes everything, which is your mindset. Your business is your launch pad in life. You think about, you've been building this rocket, you've gone out, you've found all the people for the parts, you've brought it all together, you've got it sitting there, and this isn't the end, right? This is the beginning when you sell. So the next age wealth allows you to do the next thing from everything that you learned when you built the rocket. And so just think about your business that way. So the trap of the consciousness that built it, the mindset that you created for your current success. So if you think about the mindset when you start a business and when you operate a business and when you exit a business, those are the three different mindsets that are like the cycle in the business community, the entrepreneurial, serial entrepreneurial world. And so when you started your business, you're excited about creating a logo, you're excited about creating a website. You can't wait for that first client to buy your product. And then you start bundling products or creating new products and changing your brand and changing your message. And you kind of go through that really amazing mindset, and you're up late at night, you're up early in the morning, and you're working at getting the business off the ground. Then the business is flourishing, it gets busy, you have to hire people and you got to train people and you've got to expand. And so that's like the operating mindset. And that's kind of where everybody just kind of stops. They say they get in that world and they don't really ever think about exiting. And it's not that you have to exit tomorrow or in 2 years or 3 years, but at some point, there's this third mindset. like your third eye. It's like the center of everything you're doing. And and what I encourage you to do, if you don't do anything else in this course, I encourage you to just take 5 minutes every morning and just ask yourself, if I could sell it all, what would I do next? What would give me as much happiness and satisfaction if I could sell everything I built, and what would I do with that next? And so we want we want you to create the freedom that you want, and we want you to do it with the tools that we have. So this is a ground floor opportunity. The future of your business is being decided right now. You can either design it, which we're talking about, or you can just kind of default into it. You can do it manually. So, you can take all this stuff and do whatever you're doing manually, or you can do a plug and play. And we can automate some proven systems and help you walk you through how to create transferable value in your business and think beyond the exit. So this is the right place. This is the right time. You don't need any more time. You need right now, and this is it. So let's get into it. The transferable value exit formula. There are only three things that matter when building a business that you can scale, sell, and step away from. And we're going to dive into those. Those three levers are operational independence, financial clarity, and strategic positioning. And with those three levers, you will be farther ahead of any one of your competitors if you just focus on these next few things that we're going to talk about. So let's talk about operational independence. This comes down to systems, delegation, and automation. And I had a company, it was called Summit Outdoor. They made some of the best camping gear that you have ever seen. But here's the problem. Everything ran through the founder, and she was handling sales, inventory, staff training. And she was literally burnt out. Like, I think all of us probably have been at some time, but her team was super capable. But it's like, we hold on to that. And we were so scared to give up, control of things. And there were no systems put in place. There was no documentation. And you know what? She took a weekend off, and guess what happened? I mean, I'm sure all of you know what happened. The sales dropped off. Nothing happened. Fulfillment slowed down. And when we stepped in, we did what was called an operational audit. And so when we do an operational audit, we really just look at these three things. What's automated, what's system in place, system taste. I don't know if that's a word or not, but I'm going to go with it. And then automate. And so we dive into those things. So what we did is we built some SOPs for every department, which are standard operating procedures. We take some procedures they do and we make them standard, and we document them, and we talk about implementation, and we streamline them, and we find, any slow parts in them. So that's one thing we did. We delegated some of the key responsibilities, and we created a scorecard for her managers so they can make decisions without her needing her approval. So fast forward 6 months later, she took her first 2-week vacation in 5 years. And I'm sure some of you are at that point. You haven't taken a vacation in maybe 10 years. And while she was on vacation, there was no fires, there was no frantic calls. Her team stepped up, and she finally started working on the business and instead of in it. And that's what really operational independence is all about. And if you haven't done some of these things, I would encourage you to pick just one. Pick one thing to either delegate, pick one thing to create a system around, or even automate it, and document it. Okay, document it, put it in a box somewhere where everybody can see it. So the next thing we're going to dive into is financial clarity. And, for being in banking for so long, this is probably one of the areas that most business owners kind of do by default. They don't really focus in the financials until they have to. So we're going to focus on financials. We focus on optimizing profitability. And here's why: because the numbers tell the story. When you sit down with a buyer, you sit down with an investor, and even if you're just going to find a bank to give you some money for an expansion, your numbers are the story. No matter what you say on paper, the numbers tell a story. And that's why they always ask for 2 or 3 years of numbers, because those numbers tell a story, and it tells a lot about your business. It tells whether there's seasonality. It talks about when you have high revenue or low revenue. It talks about if you're up year over year or if you're stagnant. And so without even talking to you, they can look at those numbers. And so we had this one company, it was Green Fork Meal Service. It was a meal service business. And they were doing about $2 million a year revenue annually. And the founder, James, came to me and he's like, "Hey, John, we have no idea where the money is going. I'm making sales, but he's like, I'm broke, man, and I don't know what's going on." So we took a look under the hood, and this is something I'll talk about later. But I do this with one of my services, and so this is something that I'd be happy to do for you as well. But we looked under the hood. We looked at his pricing model up and down, and what we found was his delivery costs were just eating his margins. He was paying for growth, but it wasn't profitable growth. And so we had to dive in and we kind of built out this financial dashboard for him. Did a product margin analysis. I don't know if you've ever done that, but you look at each product, you see what the costs are on it. It's pretty simple to do. You could probably do it yourself. And you just kind of decide what products are profitable, what products aren't possible, what products could we bundle and make them more profitable. As you know, they have this theory in life where they give you the large and they give you the medium and they give you the small. And sometimes the medium is priced just a little bit higher. And the large, you don't really want the large. So you buy the medium. So the profit margin's a little higher on the medium. And that's done just about in everything out there. If you're not doing that, I would consider your different pricing models, just your mid price being just from a margin standpoint, just a little bit higher. Um, so we built that, and then we layered the projections so he could see what it would project like after we kind of worked with the margins and stuff over 6 or 12 months. And now he's profitable and he's scaling and he's doing it with confidence. And so he can invest in new markets now and pull the trigger because he knows his products are profitable. And so that's just one area in your financials and optimization profitability that you can work on. I'm sure all of us could work on that. So we're going to move on to the next one, which is your strategic positioning. Now, this is one that most business owners don't think about at all. So you're going to sell someday or you're going to die in the business. And even when you die in the business, you're going to want to hand it off to somebody and you're going to want it valuable. So before you sell, you kind of want to scale it. You want to put a lot of these different systems in place, make sure the numbers are profitable, and get it ready. And this is not just to raise capital, but it's also to be able to get capital or to sell. So the strategic positioning is really important as you're thinking of transitioning into the next stage, what I call next stage wealth. So we had this client, it was BrightBridge. It was an IT solutions company, and they were doing really, really solid work and had a great client base. But the founder started exploring exit options and she was getting all kinds of lowball offers. She couldn't figure out why she was getting lowball offers. So, um, what we did is we jumped in there and we took a look at it. And what we found is, she just looked like every other IT company and there was no real clear differentiation between them. And she didn't really have a growth plan. She didn't have strategic positioning. So when we helped her, what we did is we took her from this IT support company to a very niche, very specific, kind of really doing the same thing, but kind of rebranded it and repositioned it. And we called it cybersecurity compliance partner. And it was for mid-size. We focused really on mid-size healthcare firms and we've revamped it. We revamped her branding, her documentation. And so she started getting recurring revenue and framed her business as a turnkey acquisition. And when you can frame your business as a turnkey acquisition for somebody, oh my gosh, the value of your business goes up, tenfold. And so what had happened was we kind of fast forward 12 months later, she ended up getting 3 offers, and one of them was 4 times higher than her first evaluation. And so that's the power of strategic positioning and really focus. You don't have to change the business. You maybe just have to change the branding and the focus of where you're at and a few little things, which is great. So I want to let you know, this is a map. You still have to do the driving. The formula is simple. The execution is what separates the wealthy from the worn out, because if you don't start delegating, you don't start putting procedures in place, and you don't start thinking about the exit, you're going to get worn out. And I've seen it time and time again. You learned why today most businesses fail to sell, even when they're profitable. You saw how delaying transition planning destroys the value and how to reserve it. You discovered the three levels for transferable wealth and how to pull them together. You finally separate the business growth from the business value, and you realize how your mindset can't build your next level of freedom and how it can. And so, the other thing you learned, you saw the small focus wins um, are worth more than the massive some days. Just get some small wins. Take one operating procedure, take one thing and delegate it. Take one product and do an evaluation. You got the roadmap to make your business operate without you. So use it. Use some of these tools and see what take that vacation, take that weekend off. Give empowering decisions to your employees, and stand behind them no matter what happens, because life moves on. So um, you learned how timing, clarity, and position creates an exit and legacy. And I want to tell you that when you when you have a coach and you have a guide that's been there and done it, and I don't want to say that I know what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing. And those that almost blindly follow, let me give you an example of myself. I had a coach one time tell me to do something, and the first thing that came up in my brain was, I'm not going to do that. Like that's not who I am. But he said, do something for me. He goes, do it no matter if you don't want to do it, and force yourself to do it. And then after if the result doesn't happen, then you can come back to me and say that was really bad coaching advice. And it was one of the coaching experience that changed my life forever. When you have somebody that's been there and done that, if you just follow those instructions to the point where you're trying to prove them wrong almost, then you'll find that it's the coach and the guide makes things so much easier, and you get places faster because they've been through it. They've had the failures, and they're trying to share their best knowledge with you. And so we had a few testimonials. I just thought I would share them with you. Maggie, she optimized her financials using our framework. She got 3 times higher valuation than expected. Daniel, he moved from leasing. That was a really, really great experience for him, to owning his own commercial property through lease to legacy. He actually did a lease purchase, used his tenant improvement money to actually use the down payment as he financed, and was only in the lease for less than 6 months. And he had already purchased the building, and that building he bought for, a couple $100,000. I think it's worth over $1 million today, and he's operating out of there and growing. It was a really, really good, great, successful story. And Travis, he exited his business and launched his coaching brand, which he's just doing such a great job. I'm super proud of Travis. And he now leads others in the next stage. He's part of our affiliate group, and he does such an amazing job helping other business owners go through some of the things that he went through. So let's talk about your 2 paths forward. I'm certain with some of the information today that you can do it on your own. I'm positive. You're business owners, you've created your businesses, you're successful people, and you can do it on your own. And if I leave you with the tools and stuff, you'll get through it, and I believe that you'll see success. But what if there was another way? What if we did it together? What if we did this together and I walked you through some of the problems? What if we played an active role in your success? What if we went deeper than we could in one short hour together? What if I gave you the tools, support, shortcuts, and insight to stack the deck in your favor? And what if I took the responsibility of helping you make it happen? You would want to know about that option, right? I would. I would want to know about that option. So if I had a system, a way to walk you through this process, uh, would you consider it? Would it be something that you'd want to do? And so let me share with you our business transition success suite. We have the value framework, and the value framework is it's a bunch of teaching points. They're very short. They're all under 2 minutes. They give you very specific tasks to do. There is a guide that you can document and use and go through each one of them. There is it's like a value ladder to give you an example. As you go through, you create more value in each one of the steps. We have lease to legacy, which helps you negotiate your lease so it doesn't put a detriment on your business and it actually creates value as you transition. And then we also talk about creative financing around how to own a building and move your business into building. And then we have Next Stage, which is one-on-one with me, very immersive program. We put plans together. I will dive into your operations. I'll dive into your numbers. We'll create what I call a deck, whether you want to go find money, whether it's debt or equity, or even position a deck for you to sell your business. We'll create all of that through our Next Stage. So option one is the value framework. And so some of the things we talk about in the value framework is vision and valuation, alignment, optimization, leveraging and positioning with marketing and branding strategies, understanding legal and financial implications, and your exit readiness transition. It uncovers hidden weaknesses, creates investor readiness, and streamlines systems for you to scale. Lease to legacy. It teaches you how to turn lease into leverage, helps you spot off-market deals, breaks down creative financial strategies, and helps you gain control of your commercial footprint. And then our Next Stage, well, it's one-on-one coaching, personalized strategies, mentorship, and it really helps you reinvent yourself for the next post-exit. Helps you define your purpose after the sale, dive into the numbers, like I said, maps out your personal wealth. We talk a little bit about family office in this area, and gives you leadership for both beyond and during your time. And you just don't walk away with a check. You actually walk away with a great plan of what you're going to do next. So usually I charge a couple $100 for an evaluation call. If you're part of this, it's free. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to figure out exactly where you'd fit, what the right product would be if you don't kind of know which product would be there. What I'll do right now is I'm going to put in the chat for anybody that wants it. I'm going to put a link to both the value framework and to the coaching calls if you'd like to schedule a call, or if you'd like to just go check out the value framework. There's a couple links in there. Let me make sure I get them in there. There we go. So there's your consulting one. And there is your book a consulting call. So let's talk investment. The value framework is $287 a month. You're going to access to a community. In that community, you're going to have all the coaching framework. We'll be releasing videos and information for you, regularly that are very important to what you're doing. You'll get the Lease to Legacy workbook and the Mastering Business Transition. We're actually going to provide anybody that's on the call today the Mastering Business Transition playbook for free as just a gift from me to you. And we'll go ahead and put that in the chat too, so you have that playbook. And then if you're really interested, it's anywhere from 10,000 to 25,000 a year. I'm missing a zero there, but that's okay. It's one-on-one coaching, it's inner circle, it's mastermind, and you get the value framework. And we really dive in and we bring a lot of business owners together to talk about their business and what they're doing. So it's something that if you are really at the point where you're thinking about exit, you're thinking about what's next, I definitely would schedule a call and we can talk about if that's a good fit for you. Some of the bonuses that you're going to get when you sign up today, like I said, you're going to get the Mastering Business Transition playbook. You're going to get the exit readiness checklist. You'll get the Lease to Legacy as a bonus, and you'll get the Next Stage Wealth. You'll get a credit ready checklist and a private founder inner circle access, which gives you access to other people that are kind of going through what you're going through as a business. And so those are some of the bonuses. You have a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. So if something isn't right, we'll just give you your money back. But I really think when you get in there and you start to see the value of what we provide, that won't even be an option. But this is limited. It's a limited time. We're going to close it out by June 15th. So I would definitely take advantage of that right away. So now it's up to you. And you've got two paths. You can do it alone. I think you can do it alone, but I'd love to do it with you. I think it'd be faster. I give you supported guidance, and that's my presentation for today. So I'd like to open it up for questions. Anybody that might have some questions, if you want to type them in the chat, I would love to answer those. Let's see. So that's a good question. So one question that I have is, what is the value framework, and how much effort and time do I have to put in to actually, make progress? Here's what I can tell you. I like to coach right to the point. So you're going to get a teaching point. You might have seen some of those teaching points out there online. The difference between the ones you see out there that we post every day is I actually give a workbook with it that is like a guide, a paper guide, and it's organized. When I release the teaching points now, they're kind of from all over the framework, so there's no like system to it. We walk you through a very specific system for each one of what we call the main pillars, and so you're going to get like little sprint lessons. You're going to give some assignments to do, and what I would do is not even watch another one until you finish that one, or watch two or three or four of them. I mean, they're only a couple minutes. So if you spent 15 minutes a day watching four of them, pick out the things that you might need to do. Because some of the stuff you might already have done in your business, which is great. You can check it off as I made sure I have value there. And the whole idea is that you're just making sure that you have value in all these different sections of your business. And so this will really help you make sure that you have the transferable value built when you get ready to move to the next age. Thanks for that question. I really appreciate that question. It's a good question. Um, let's see. Let's get another question here. What's that?
See, who's the next stage wealth?
So who's the next stage wealth for? Thanks for that question. So, it's an interesting question because if you could know stuff earlier, would you want to know it? And my personal opinion is for anybody. I mean, I think it's somebody for starting a business. Like if you start a business thinking about what your exit is when you start the business, you build with purpose, you build differently. And so I believe that it's for anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur. It's anybody that is building something to sell one day. Because if you're thinking about how you're going to build it, why you're going to build it, and what you're going to do after you build it, you build differently, you wake up differently, you make decisions differently. So the answer to that question is really for anybody that's an entrepreneur. Where I get most of my clients are people that have been in business for 10 years, 15 years, and they're all of a sudden, um, I'm thinking about selling and I'm ready to sell. And I don't know what I'm going to do next. I don't know how to value my business. I don't know where to list my business. I don't know how to position my business. That's where most of my next stage wealth clients come from. But the real advice I would give is if you're an entrepreneur and you're in business, and you should be building for your next age. And that means to me, you're building for generational wealth. And so that's really what that's all about. And so I don't think you can learn that too early. Thank you for that question. I really appreciate it. Well, that's it for us today. I really appreciate everybody that's joined the podcast. I want to let you know, make sure you check out that Mastering Business Plan Transition Playbook. It's free. It's something that I think you can dive into. I'm super excited for you to be part of that. And let me know if you have any other questions. You can DM me through Facebook or reach out and schedule a call. I've also put some links below so you can go ahead and click on one has the value framework. It'll take you right in there. I have a page, explains it in a little more detail. Super excited for you to check that out. Also, there's a link for you to schedule a call with me so we can get that one-on-one, really dive deep into what the right immersive program would be for you. And I've also got that link to that master business playbook. It'll really help you out and get started. But most importantly, I want you to just know that if you just take little bites, pick one or two things that might really impact your business and just work at those, you'll really start to create more value in your business. And I just want you to remember one thing: you build with purpose, you transition with power, and you're always thinking beyond the exit. I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day.